Welcome to Citizens Forum on Sapiencia's channel. My name is Jude Joman Ekeji. Today on Citizens Forum, we'll be talking about the Uromi killings and wondering when justice turns to prejudice. March 28 to 2025, a very harrowing event unfolded at Uromi, Edo State. 16 Nigerians said to be hunters, well, about 25 of them said to be hunters, were traveling from River State to Kano State to celebrate the Eid, the Salah festivities with their people in Kano State. Well, they got to Edo State at Uromi. A local vigilante flagged down the vehicle. It was searched, and then guns were said to have been discovered. We've seen the videos. Before you could say catch 'em, as our people will say, the mob had arrived. They had been labeled as bandits and justice served on them. 16 of them were said to have died on the spot. Of course, they were overpowered, tied to used tires, and the rest is history, set ablaze and all. Well, reactions have continued to trail all of this, from the security forces to the presidential table and to politicians. We've seen governors also. We've seen the governor of Edo State wade into this. We've seen the governor of Kano State wade into this. Nigerians have been discussing all of this. Today on Citizens Forum, we're going to have a conversation and talk about not just this event as an isolated one, but how it affects Nigeria and the impact of this on our daily lives. Of course, how can we have this conversation without talking about mob justice, without talking about ethnic profiling, without talking about ethnic bias, and also without talking about movement across Nigeria, security implications, and all. I'll connect my guests and we'll get talking. Of course, where else to begin this conversation but to move down to northern Nigeria, hopefully to Kano State, and get a feel of what is really going on, and then we build our conversation from that. My guest today on the program, once this number connects, we'll start that conversation. He is Comrade Abubarka Umar. Okay. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes. Welcome to Sapiencia's channel.
Thank you so much.
All right. My guest today on Citizens Forum is Comrade Abubarka Umar. He's the Director of Strategic Communications and Publicity, the Rebuild Ariwa Initiative for Development, RAID. Welcome once again, sir.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon, Nigerians.
All right. So let's begin to talk about the unfortunate event at Uromi. Give us a feel of Kano State and just take us through what you think about all of what happened at Uromi.
What happened in Uromi is very unfortunate. Absolutely unfortunate as a state, as Nigeria as a state, governed by constitutions and due processes. It is very unfortunate the way Nigerians are behaving in Nigeria. It is equally very unfortunate the way our leaders are behaving. We are operating as if we are country banana republic, where constitution is irrelevant and inconsequential. One, when you go to developed countries, number one, let's talk about hunting. Licenses are given to hunters with specifications and jurisdictions. When I mean specification, if you are going to hunt animal, if it is antelope, it's going to be specified antelope. You cannot hunt another animal. If it is going to be in northern Nigeria or in a particular state, your license will read you are going to hunt in a particular state and you cannot go beyond that particular state. Are you with me?
Yes, we are with you.
That is one. Then, first of all, when you look at what happened, the hunting as a profession in Nigeria is not adequately regulated. If there are constitutions that is binding hunting, then it is in paper and not in practice. And that is one aspect of it. That is one. Number two, I feel so saddened that with the vast land in northern Nigeria, people from northern Nigeria are going to south where it's infested with oil spillage and what of you with the name of going to hunt. And that to me, I am still investigating on the validity and variance and otherwise of whether they are actually hunters or not hunters. So totally. As a hunter in northern Nigeria, I am fully aware, and as a professional hunter in northern Nigeria, those people will not have been ambushed by those people who are not hunters and be killed chiefly like fowls. I will have believed that if they are truly hunters, they will have overwhelmed those people and killed them and killed them and killed them if they are professional hunters that I know in northern Nigeria. You understand? That being aside, coming to the reactions and those people, whether they are equally vigilante or special what in Uromi that killed these people that are called purported hunter or so-called hunter in that place, that there was no due process. There was no due process that was observed. How? Because if they are marshal or special hunters or special vigilante under or registered by the state government or local government, as the case may be, they will have arrested, having found those people as wanting, having found those people as suspicious. They will have arrested those people, handed them over to the security, either civil defense or the Nigerian police, as the case may be. That was not observed. That was not put into consideration. They took law into their own hand and killed those people. You see, when you look at the entire scenario, it's very unfortunate. It's very the law is not observed. It's as if Nigeria is operating in a banana republic. You understand? Then when you go down back to the history of killing in Nigeria, right from the 80s of the Metasine and Ko and Zango Katat killing and others, you will discover that a panel of inquiry and what of you have been said. But the question here that I want to ask you, I want to ask every Nigerian, I want to ask every leader in Nigeria is, what are the outcome of those panels or those reports or those verdicts or those communiques? Up to now, nobody is prosecuted, nobody is arrested, nobody is jailed, nobody is detained, nobody is killed for killing other citizens, innocent citizens. That where we find ourselves in this country, and that by these actions, that is why you see, to me, I look at this as a kind of complacency in the part of the government for not adequately arresting, prosecuting, imprisoning, sentencing people who kill others in this country that we call ours, in our fatherland, in a country that is governed by the constitution. It's quite very unfortunate. It's abetting crime. The government is abetting crime in the country. We are living as lawless citizens. That is very unfortunate, Mr. George.
First of all, I must give kudos to you for having the capacity to look at this very unfortunate incident and not only look at it from your ethnic lens. Because I've refused to have this conversation all of this while, because I've been reading different people and also listening to different commentators, and most people have been so one-sided in this. And so what I mean by one-sided is, you listen to somebody from the north, and you listen to the person from the north or people from the north, and they're having this conversation, and they're simply laying all the blame on those at Uromi. And you listen to people from the south, and they simply support the people at Uromi and lay all of the blames at this. But you've been able to look at this like, the intelligent Nigerian I've always known you and your group to be, and you've painted this picture. Now that you've built this picture, because on the one hand, you've talked about those who were unfortunately killed. It's very unfortunate that they were killed and they are not here to tell their story. You've been able to look at them and say what you feel about them. You've also been able to look at those who carried out these unfortunate killings at Uromi, and you've been able to also identify what you think about them. So let us now talk about the Nigerian state, because the Nigerian state is where all of these people perform. And the Nigerian state is where all of us who have been having this conversation, whether those of us in the media or those of us on social media, this is the space with which where we perform. And so I want to ask you this critical question about the Nigerian state. and that is about the state's ability. And when I talk about the Nigerian state, I'm talking about the Nigerian state. The capacity of Nigeria.
I got you right.
Yes, I'm just saying that for my listeners, some of my listeners. Now, let's talk about her capacity to serve justice. Her capacity to serve justice, because if you probe those at Uromi, you hear a lot of people say, well, why would they take them to the security agencies? Why would they take them to the security agencies when we know, or when they know, that if you take them there, then justice is not going to be served? Let us also look at the loved ones of those who lost their lives and who right now will be asking for some kind of justice. The Nigerian state's capacity to serve justice. Let's talk about that.
Mr. Jude, as I earlier said to me, at my age, above 50s, I school in Nigeria. I was born and brought up and schooled in Nigeria from a primary to PhD class. I've served the government right from 1988. You understand?
Yeah.
By my capacity, I think I should be a senior citizen, irrespective of where I worked. Because having worked for 30 years or above, obviously, one is regarded as a retired civil servant in Nigeria. Yeah. And that is by that statute, I am a senior citizen. I don't need anybody to tell me. This government of Nigeria is supposed to service me. And look, in Nigeria, as I said earlier on, we are holistically not serious. We are not operating as citizens that are veracious in knowledge, that are consummated by knowledge. A Kenyan professor, one came to University of Jos, 2005. Professor Ali Mazrus, of blessed memory. He said he described Nigeria as a reservoir of knowledge. Anytime I see wrongdoing in Nigeria, anytime I see people suspending the constitution and taking law into their own hand or using their veto power to do things in Nigeria contrary to what is found in the law, I feel so embarrassed. I feel so embarrassed. These situations found in SEFs is prevailing in our National Senate, is prevailing in the lower chamber, is prevailing in the executive sector, the executive arm of government, as well as the judiciary arms of government. Yeah. I always ask myself, are we true patriotic citizens of this country? Where are our laws? Where are our constitutions? Are these kind of people that are suspending, keeping outside the constitutions, keeping outside the due processes, keeping outside the norms and ethics of normalities, doing what they are doing and going free with impunity? When you look at the corruption, when you look at how our senators, how our governors, how our ministers, how our public office holders cut away with monies, meant public funds, meant for the development of the citizens and the infrastructure for the benefit of the entire citizens, and nothing happens, they go with impunity. That transcends to equally how lives and properties of Nigerians are regarded in this country without respect. Human lives are as good as animal lives in Nigeria, because corruption has eaten so deep in our country that every Nigerian is taught or has been is met in our mind that we should just look for money. Look for money, look for money, look for money. Even the money that we don't need. Lives are not regarded as something valuable. If lives are regarded as something valuable, our leaders will be up and doing, our leaders will be disciplined, our leaders will adhere to rule of law. You understand? So, in the entirety, we are not operating as a state and disciplined state, as a nation and disciplined nation, with adherence to our rules of law. This is my own observation. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been saying all what I've been saying. Many officers, both from the police, the military, and what of you have been indicted from one situation or one time or the other for abetting law. You don't hear anything. We hear people that have been declared sponsoring Boko Haram. You don't see their name, you don't see the court where they have been arraigned and prosecuted or sentenced. You understand? When we say somebody is sponsoring Boko Haram or terrorism, that is treasonable felony. What is the law that is meant for that person? Either execution or life imprisonment. But you and I have never witnessed where a person that has been alleged to be sponsoring terrorism or have been found wanting sponsoring this thing, have been arrested and killed, or have been arrested and in jail, in prison. I have never had that at my age and life in Nigeria. I don't know you as a journalist whether you can point one beside Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu to me, he is just an agitator. You understand? So there are many prevalent, there are many things wrong as far as I'm concerned as a citizen and with us in Nigeria here. Until and unless we become citizens, until and unless we adhere to the rule of law, until and unless we respect the unity and diversity, until and unless our leaders answer their names as leaders, and until and unless we respect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we shall be seeing things like this. We shall maybe return to Somalia and Sudan and other countries. That is very unfortunate, Mr. Jude.
My big friend will say, God forbid. But you mentioned the name I respect so much. You said he came to University of Jos, Ali Masuri, from Kenya. He's somebody I respect so much and whose works I read a lot. Now, my last question maybe to you will be what you think about, there was one of his articles where he talked about, one of his books where he talked about, and that is something that nation states in Africa can learn a lot from. And he says there are three different stages when we talk about nationhood. And some people have taught us that the only way we can be a nation, which is not African in any way, is when we have the same tribe and we all have the same religion, and which means in a country like Nigeria, we should be having about maybe 500 nations out of this. Because
in my state we have 112 ethnic groups.
Thank you very much. But then Ali Mazuri said for across the world that there are different things that build nations, and one of them, he says, at the very beginning is people coming together to just perform some kind of functions, and they are not together, but they could be meeting at a stream, and all these different people need is that stream to come draw water or to come wash their clothes. And an example in Nigeria could be given as River Niger, right? And so the people in Kaduna also have somewhere along River Niger where, they get and things like that. And he said that happened. He says the next stage is where they begin to appreciate each other and say, okay, we have the same challenges, these people, they have some things we need, and then they begin to trade together. And so that is some kind of, yes, they are not one people, but then they start trading together, and they start understanding, wow, I love some sites in this place. For this holiday, I can take my children to go see this place. But then he said the third one is when they start seeing that if we come together, we could be a stronger force. And so they start building what the white man knows as institutions, right? They start building and these institutions could be maybe military, for instance. It could be anything. It could be some cultural center, just something that makes them come together and share all of these things. He says in this way, a nation can be built. Now, since 1914, and I ask you this question because you are on social media and you've seen all of the nonsense that has been going on social media. For instance, people make so much noise about one policeman somewhere in Kaduna who said he's going to revenge on Southerners. We've also seen some people say, okay, they are afraid that there is going to be reprisal attacks on the Igbos. Some people have said, we are going to attack Southerners, we are going to, and all of this nonsense. In 2025, why do you think we are not grown enough? And I'm not talking about the Nigerian state now, even though she is part of it. I'm talking about all of us as Nigerians, even those of us who have received what we call decent education. Why do you think we have not grown to that point where we can have this conversation and say, okay, are these bandits? Let us discuss banditry. Let us discuss banditry. Or we discuss mob justice, and let us discuss mob justice without bringing in region and tribe and ethnicity into this conversation. do you think we can win this war?
Mr. Jude.
Yes.
Before I answer you, I must say we are in a very unfortunate state. That one I say without mincing words. Secondly, why are we not growing at the 21st century in 2025 as a nation? The answer is simple. There is lack of patriotic leaders. Leadership has been the problem of this country. We don't have leaders who are patriotic. We don't have leaders with conscience. And generally, because we don't have leaders who can regulate, checkmate, evaluate, put us in order, you understand? That is why we are living below expectation, subhuman. Because when one is living as subhuman, your thinking cap is missing, your mind as the engine of your entire body is knocked down. What do you expect? You don't expect good result. Leaders are made from the Bible, from the Quran, from the Torah, and even the traditional religions. There are laid down rules on how society and people living in the society should behave. But here in Nigeria today, we are not adhering to our Quran adequately and efficiently. Neither are we adhering to the Bible adequately and efficiently. Oh, the Supreme Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Our leaders have knocked it down. And because they have knocked it down, the ordinary citizens have followed suit. So what do you expect? Irregularities upon irregularities. Abnormalities upon abnormalities. Misfortunes upon misfortunes. Eyesores upon eyesores. What do you expect, Mr. Jude? Until and unless we have good leaders with conscience, leaders with the milk of human sympathy, leaders who are ready to amend the abnormalities in the society, you see much more than what we are seeing today, Mr. George. That you can take it away. We have missed it in 2025 at the 21st century because we have failed to recognize ourselves as human beings with high faculty, thinking faculty, human beings that God has created and advanced to develop nations, to develop the society, human beings that should appreciate their fellow human beings, recognize their fellow human beings, assist their fellow human beings, develop their fellow human beings, build the capacity in the fellow human beings, make human beings feel they are human beings, much more superior than other creatures. You understand, Mr. Joe?
Yeah.
That is the problem we have found ourselves. We have resorted to trivial issues. What are the trivial issues? The ethnic bigotry, ethnic discrimination, religious bigottism, and other social vices that deter and retard development. Wherever you see people practicing, where people operate on religious bigots, ethnicity, racism, you understand, nepotism, you can never and you will never see development, you will never see unity, you will never see peace, you will never see progress. That, I challenge you to go and check. Look at China. If China have been practicing this, revolution came into China, after revolution, what next? Is development you see. We shouldn't even go far. Just come back to our armpit here in Ghana. After flight after Jolly Rollies, what do you see? Is it not development?
Yeah.
Today Nigerians are going to Ghana to do development, to do businesses. Major companies that were here in Nigeria, even before independence, they have relocated to Ghana. Ghana that was here. Check Malaysia, check Singapore. People who were coming to do trade in Nigeria. I was taught by Scottish, Indians, and Philippines, and some Ghanaians who were coming to work in Nigeria. Today, everybody, including our former ministers, former senators, then they do what they call Japan. Is it not very unfortunate?
Yeah.
So in the entirety, don't accuse anybody, accuse poor leadership. That is it, Mr. Jude.
Wow, this has been so wonderful. And you know, you said that it really struck me that in Kaduna primary school, and I'm not talking about secondary school, primary school, I was taught by Chinese, or we were taught by Chinese, we were taught by the Scottish, you know, we are taught by these foreigners. And but then today, here we are. Well, we are here. We are.
We teach ourselves, but we don't have facilities.
It's
infrastructure are not there.
A challenge to you. A challenge to you, Comrade Abubarka Umar. You know, one of the things you pointed out is patriotic leaders. I think between me and you, we need to begin challenging ourselves, and people like us start challenging ourselves about how to be part of the process, of the wider process that makes that emerge. Because you have a conversation with people like you and me, and the answer is very clear. We don't see much changing if we continue moving in this direction. We must change direction, and that direction cannot be changed if we leave it to the mob. We just witnessed at Uromi what the Nigerian mob, the only thing the Nigerian mob can do. And we're also seeing on social media the only way the Nigerian mob can discuss. It's going to take people like you, and it's going to take people like me to stop this narrative and begin a new narrative that ushers in patriotic leaders. We're going to have that conversation. Definitely not today, but we must have that conversation. I want to say thank you to you, Comrade Abubarka Umar, Director of Strategic Communications and Publicity, Rebuild Arewa Initiative for Development Trade. Also, say my thank you to Mr. Balabe Rufai, my good friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Mr. Jude.
All right, thank you. God bless you.
That is why Rebuild Arewa Initiative came into limelight as a child of necessity, to a kind of lay down foundations on how society can be rebuilt.
All right.
So we are looking forward to meeting our other exist nationalities to brainstorm in that regard.
I hear you clearly, and we'll have that conversation.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right. God bless you.
It's a pleasure once again.
All right. Okay. Citizens Forum on Sapiencia's channel. Of course, the Uromi tragedy, when justice turns to prejudice. I mean, we see how easily that turned in Edo State. We saw how easily it happened. All right. The numbers to call are 080-631-30020, and that is 080-631-30020. You can also call into 081-574-66270. 081-574-66270. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, welcome to the program, sir.
Yes, I'm Raymond. I'm calling from in Delta State.
All right, welcome, Mr. Raymond.
Yes, German.
Sir.
I must have to adopt my car for you. You see, the caliber of people you bring in this kind of programs, particularly from the north, I don't know how you select them. They are so sound, so loud. I know at times, if this set of minds are still in the north, and all these things are happening in this country, God bless you so much.
Bless you too, sir.
Bringing them.
Thank you.
We need them. Let them keep the right thing us. And I think we are so backward, so biased, so naive in matters of the state. Come on. What a contribution. I like that man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, for the topic, please, you see, Nigeria, we have a job in our hands. Not just the leaders, because the leaders, how many are there? In percent. That's so few, so minute. But how united they are to lose over 200 as fools is beyond imagination. So we need to come together. I think for me, I've identified that this set of people, this group of leaders are our problem. What do we do to them? We should start checkmating them by reversing any advances that are coming with. Because You know, I think we play into their hands. That is why they keep using us each time. Otherwise, how many are there? Can they be in the future? None of them cannot even do some smart things except the youth. So the youth, we must come back to our senses to begin to read between the lines and know that Nigeria belongs to us. We have a few years left, but we are just beginning. Can we think for once and see that this country belongs to us? And God has so much blessed this country. So why can't we turn it around for good? Thank you, Mr. Jude.
All right, thank you. God bless you. All right. That was Mr. Raymond from Delta State. 080-631-30020 and of course 081-574-66270. These are the numbers to call to be a part of the program today. Our conversation today, of course, really inspired by the tragic event that unfolded at Uromi, Edo State. And the narrative has been going on around the country. And today we are looking at all of this and the impact and of course the role of active citizens like you and me. Hello.
Hello, DJ Joe.
Yeah, welcome, sir. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm overwhelmed. If we can get this type of people in the north.
Yeah. Properly introduce yourself, sir.
Hello?
Properly introduce yourself, sir. All right. Welcome, Mr. John.
Please, I don't mind. I would like to have this man's number. In the distance. So, if we can have this kind of people around the universe, like 5 or 6 of us, honestly, Nigeria will be better. Coming to the issue of brand, I hear him emphasizing on media. But I think that's like the first person thing.
Okay.
Keep the youth in Nigeria because we are more popular and population more than those in the area. So if we can, like as this man is in Kano, someone is in Anambra, other person is in Imo State, and the major parts of this state, honestly, and begin to, reorientate the senses of the youth, because they are the ones to use and do all these things. So if we can begin to tell them what it's all about and what we must do to have a better Nigeria, honestly, within 1 year, Nigeria will turn around to become even modern. Let's just start with Ghana here. Honestly speaking, I'm not that. Most especially, I want to thank you very much, honestly, for your program. More grace to you, my brother.
All right, thank you very much. God bless you too. And just to be honest about this, I told him to say kudos to Balad Berufai, and I'm saying this to every active citizen who is touched. Balad Berufai, who is the chairman of RAID, president, but he's the head of RAID, which that's a Rebuild Arewa Initiative for Development. We had our conversation sometime in January, February, and there is something in the works, and I'm going to be open with it on Citizens Forum where we signed some dotted lines because they came up with ideas I'm very much interested in, and what you said will definitely happen, and that's just what I'm saying. What you said will definitely happen. There is a conversation going on simply to gather like minds across the country, and we need to start doing we've talked long enough, and we've seen where talk takes us. That is absolutely nowhere. It's almost like entertainment. It has become entertainment. Where we have this conversation and then we analyze things, but until we begin to move, and we can move alone, we need to move with like minds. And if you look at how our leaders have successfully divided us and make us talk outside, in different pockets, until we start having a conversation inside of a bucket, nothing will change. All right. And I was also impressed when he said something, and that is Comrade Abubarka Umar. When he talked about Nnamdi Kanu, I was also taken aback when he said it. I was surprised because most times when you hear people from different parts of the country have a conversation about other parts of the country, they have nothing good to say. And this, nobody is more guilty of this. We are all guilty of this. Whether you come to the South and you hear conversations about the North, and some Northerners and some key Northern figures, it's always the same thing. When you come to the North and they have conversations about key Eastern or Southern players, they always have nothing positive to say. So I give him kudos for that. Hello.
Good morning, Joma.
Yes, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, welcome.
Thank you. I don't have much to say. What happened in Uromi? Relentlessness. That is when you start seeing anarchy, the kind of that jungle justice. Before that, these people that did this act, it is condemnable. But has it been maybe our law enforcement agencies that are doing what they're supposed to do? Because I believe the reason why these people did this is that they are just afraid. Maybe trying to be proactive. Let's say, yes, proactive and not action. Because I believe that some of them, that particular Uromi, they have cried out some time ago that they are being killed by some bad killer herdsmen. But you ask yourself, what did the police do? Yeah. We are anybody arrested because I did not maybe the anti-arrest and persecution. You see some of these jungle justice that is happening, we're not be saying it. Something like that is happening in many states now.
Yep.
Some part of the background that we are being killed. Sometimes these guys come in military camouflage, they will kill yet. Nothing has them up to today. Now when people, maybe that kind of people traveling in front of them, are you expecting them to be watching them? So to me, I am blaming all these things to the government, just like your best friends. When we have people who doesn't see us as human beings, they don't even care. Just look at what's going on in Abuja. Somebody was alleged that you abused me. Next thing we are saying is to recall her. It's a heavy force. Could you imagine? When
Hello?
dying, hungry is everywhere, they cannot even use that kind of measure that they used to record this particular woman. Or that kind of measure they used to declare emergency in River State to save us. Well, we are just watching and be praying that if Nigeria will go well, since we have resulted in praying. Thank you very much, Joma.
All right. Thank you for calling in. When we say we have resorted to praying, I don't know who the we are, but your point well taken. And it's also interesting that you did talk about Natasha. And there was something that came to my mind yesterday. And since you brought her up, I'm going to share it. You know, most times when we have our conversation, we always talk about how hopeless it is for anyone to challenge the system. But when we see individuals who sometimes even out of necessity, like they did not really set out to do it, but they were pushed and they challenged the system. We're going to talk about 2023 and what Mr. P2B did. And the revolution he brought into our electoral system. That takes a Nigerian who is bold, who is intelligent, and who is fearless. Today, we've seen Natasha doing that. We've seen people like Dele Farotimi. We can go on and give these examples. But what that simply tells us is that there is still room for Nigerians who want to challenge the system to have a better society for their children, which is a legitimate pursuit. To do that. But then what will be more powerful will be a come together of citizens who share the same ideas and who are moved by the same passion to build a better society that their children can inherit. Because clearly the society we are living in and we are running and we've successfully built will not serve our children. And there is no species of animal on the planet that doesn't think more of its children than it thinks about itself. The only species you might find that I know of are the pigs. And nobody wants to live like that, do we want to? All right, our Seal Citizens Forum and 080-631-30020. 080-631-30020. The other number to call in 081-574-66270. 081-574-66270. There are some things we need to look at and we need to think about as we have this conversation today. One of them is how many light arms we have in the hands, in wrong hands across the country. I mean, my guest today called attention to that. He even wondered if these people are hunters. But then what question does that raise in Nigeria? It is the number of arms in the hands of the wrong people. And this is across Nigeria. The rise of violent crimes in our communities. This is a question that the Nigerian state needs to respond to. One of the definitions of a state is its capacity to ensure that constituted authority are the only ones that can bear arms. Is that what we have today? Hello.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I commend you so much for the discussion you're having this morning.
Thank you, sir.
I heard clearly, though not in full, the contributions from the people you brought in from the north. Obviously, hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Properly introduce yourself, sir.
Okay, I'm Onyema.
All right.
Calling from Nnewi.
You're welcome, Onyema.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, what you people are discussing is very vital, and it's unfortunate that it happened. I'm also surprised what people are saying. They don't know that such people exist in the north. Good people are everywhere.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing that happened to our country is that we allow the country to slip into the hands of few people who do not mean well for the country. But the greater majority of the people are good. Yeah. I mean, I've lived in the east, I'm from the east, I've lived in the west, I've lived in the north. And I can attest to that people are good everywhere. Unfortunately, we have a situation where the leaders have sowed the seed of division and continue to sow it, and they exploit that with the poverty that is rampant. That's why in every election, even if you bring somebody from heaven, if that person doesn't share money, he stands defeated. But that's by the way. Concerning the mob action, is just a reflection of the collective failure we have had as a country. And like I've said before, it's unfortunate that it happened.
Yeah.
And it's also unfortunate that aside these things people are doing now, there is no measure to prevent it from happening again. Because we have a situation where people are killed, they don't get justice, and when they take the law by their hands, they see the kind of thing we saw at Uromi. So until we really have a situation where justice is served to those deserving of it, it may be difficult to have a repeat of the unfortunate thing that happened at Uromi. Hello, did you hear what I said?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay. So, well, about the hopelessness of Nigeria and all that, I don't know what to say about that. It's good we still have people like you who keep pushing the frontiers of hope, and we hope that there is a success at the end. But a lot of people, you kept mentioning citizens. People must be citizens first before they even. I don't know how many Nigerians are still even see themselves as citizens. There's nothing you get from public, no water, no light, nothing, except the things you are able to provide for yourself. And now you are related to insecurity. So I don't know where the citizenship is. So people keep saying the patriotic with what and for what? I'm not saying people should do whatever they want, but I mean there should be some measure to make people feel that they belong to the place. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, I mean, I'm a follower. I'm more than a fan of Mr. Dele Farotimi. And one of the things he argues is that we are not citizens. But then when we have nowhere else to run to and nowhere else to go, well, what else can we say? Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, welcome, sir.
Yeah, German, good afternoon.
Yeah, welcome to the program.
Yes, Emeka speaking from Onitsha.
All right, you're welcome,
You see,
Mr.
Mr.
Mekam.
German,
Yes.
there are good Nigerians in the north, in the west, and in the east, but the problem is our docility. Those good ones, most times, because of what is happening in our vicinity, they stay back. That is why things are very, that is why bad things are happening. See, German, there are people in government today who have been governors and governor of a state that they call, I don't know what they call their name, that are not supposed to be councillors in Nigeria, but they're governors, they're served as governors. I don't know if you're getting me.
Clearly.
So I keep on telling us, we Nigerians are the problem. Well, see, since 1999, we've been having democracy. We've been voting for good people as we know in our community as councillors, as local government chairman, as state legislators. Tell me how Nigeria will be of today. But we pray and do the opposite. It's terrible. We need total reorientation. How can I say I want to have my own country, when my father, my grandfather, my uncle are not doing what they're supposed to be doing with the money they're getting from pension accounts? Is it when I now have my own country, they will turn around and start doing the needful? We need total reorientation before this God-given claim will start working properly. If not, I don't know where we're going. I don't know, Mr. German. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Total reorientation, not in doubt. That's what we need. I agree with you completely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. I've talked about that. The other thing we also need to think about, even after the end of this program, is the rise of vigilantes that clearly shows that the Nigerian state is admitting, or seems to be admitting, that she lacks capacity to secure her citizens. Now, I don't care by whatever name, you can still call them vigilante. But to have people bear arms the way we do in Nigeria, where we have vigilantes set up by local communities, we have vigilantes set up by politicians. I hope we know that even in Anambra State, that we also have politicians who have their own vigilante. We can't pretend we don't know. We have states forming their own vigilantes. All of this thing boils down to arms in the hands of people who have not received some kind of standard training that should be given to any mind in a decent society before they bear arms. And also accountability for these arms. And so, who is responsible for auditing the arms and ammunitions in the hands of all of these vigilantes? And so, we can quite easily write off what has happened as mob justice. But when this mob action was spearheaded and superintended by a group called the Vigilante, it leaves a lot to be desired. The last caller for today. Hello.
Hello, DJ German.
Yes, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
All right.
Obi, come on, I'm calling from Onitsha.
All right, welcome, sir.
Please, concerning the Uromi system, I wish to ask this question. Those mobs, are you hearing me?
We can hear you.
Those mobs, did they really cut those people with AK-47 or sophisticated ammunition? That's a question, please, before I go on.
You should have read it before you asked me. What we know is then guns. I've answered you. What the news tells us is that they were caught with then guns, and that's of course what we saw. Except you have some information I don't have.
Okay,
That's the much I know. Then guns.
well, that's very bad. Even if you cut them with bombs, nothing justifies the killing of someone. That's so bad. Cannot take the life of others. It's very bad. But that's the failure of a nation. That's the failure of a nation. Because the people took the laws into their hands. Because when they sent those people, when they sent them to the police, because I don't want to use a corporate quarters, we know how our best we just go. So I think it is concern Nigeria. I believe in what in America has the last color, or the color before the last has said. We need total proper presentation. Thank you so very much.
All right, thank you so much, and we can only play our part as the media to, begin to take those steps towards reorientating our people. I want to thank my guests so profoundly, Comrade Abubakar Umar, the Director of Strategic Communications and Publicity of the Rebuild Arewa Initiative for Development, and the entire, the entire team out there for really standing behind and ensuring that, one of them comes and have this conversation with us on Citizens Forum. Thank you for being here with me. Of course, Citizens Forum will be here same time, same station next week. I am Jude Joman Ekeji. Have a blessed day ahead.